Hello, friends. Welcome back to Value Vintage Cards. I wanted to just weigh in and share a couple things on all this PSA drama. I try and steer mostly drama free, but I definitely have some thoughts and some fairly firm stances and ideas on this. I'm going to share some cards with you and navigate the conversation that way. Not a whole lot, but I'm going to start off. And full disclosure, I have submitted things. So I'm going to start off sharing a couple of recent pickups. I'm going to see if I can pull this off the right way here. So a 1960 McGregor Willie Mays, graded a 4. Cert number is an 8, which means it's pretty recent, right? Should be. Take a look at this thing. There's Willie, there's the design of the card, whole thing. Look at that. I want you to grasp every little detail of this thing, though. Look at the design, look at the wording down there. Baseball advisory staff of champions. Clean. I mean, it seems centered, right? Well, that's a big thing now, folks. I don't really care that much. Um, Something like this might look a little bit weird since the border is like a very defined portion, but looks clean. I mean, honestly, I don't even know why it's a 4. I don't even really see anything wrong with it, but that's okay. I just want to share that as a 1960 McGregor Willie Mays as recently graded by uh, PSA. So a certain number with an 8. Check this one out. Let's see if I can pull this off. That craziness. 1960 McGregor Willie Mays. Cert starting with a 9. Take a look at that thing. There it is. There it is. How cool is that? Writing at the bottom, Willie Mays, member of the McGregor Brunswick Advisory Staff. Super cool, right? Also rated a 4. Also saying that it's a 1960 McGregor. Look at them side by side. Not only is the slab size like insanely different, um, look at that though. These things are darn near reflective. Look at the bottom. They're different. I believe one is a 60 and one is a 65. So they know what they're doing, huh? Um, I don't know if that's because somebody filled it out and sent it in and said it's a 1960, and they're like, okay, let's do that. Or if they just, mistyped. Human error is a thing, but they're both fairly recent, so it's not like it's a newly discovered card that's been labeled wrong. Um, how I acquired both of those, they were almost identical timing. Um, I was looking and I was searching because I love that pose. I love that item. I think it's a really cool Willie Mays piece. And when I was looking, um, another one popped up and I looked at it. I'm like, huh, that's crazy. And I started looking at them and I was like, what's even crazier is they don't even look the same. So I was trying to dive in and see if there was like variances that year and started looking at different years. And I believe the more recently graded one actually might be a 65. That's my understanding and thought process. So if you're more of a 60s McGregor expert, feel free to correct me, but I believe that's what I'm seeing. So instantly, how credible are they? I guess, right? We're sending things in, we're spending $15 a card up to whatever. I don't necessarily have a problem with the fee. I don't necessarily have a problem with grading. I think there's always a place for it. I think there's always good things. Here's my thought. You're not submitting $15 to SGC versus a 0 because you still have to put it in some kind of a nice protective case, right? Authentication is good. On some cards, it is nice to know it's real. However, I just showed you. They might not know what they're looking at as well as we hope. Um, I think they're both real. I think they just messed up the label. So whether that's a minor issue or not, I wanted to go out and look just like I would anything else, a restaurant or an employer. I went on Google to search for PSA or SGC reviews. Um, couldn't find it. They don't allow feedback. So I found Trustpilot, which is another place you can create an account for a company and leave reviews. Um, but unfortunately, it's like anything else, you're going to have only the angry population going out there to leave a mad review. So PSA is a 1.4 star reviewed organization. They have 3% 5 stars, 95% 1 stars. Um, the last review said very professional. Before that, they don't have Google reviews for a reason. Grading has become a joke. Um, Goodbye, PSA, SGC, Beckett, etc. It sucks. I sent in cards and got, so there it is. And that only goes back to New Year's Eve. So, I mean, what are we doing? Um, so let me share this. I'm going to share this card. I see a lot of folks getting super distraught over grading standards and whatever else. I can't believe I have a 9. So the card's a 9. The card's worth like $1. The autograph is why I got this thing. And certifications for autographs, as much as those can be flawed, I still feel a little bit better knowing somebody thinks it's real, as opposed to it being somebody selling online saying, yeah, I promise it's real. I don't always trust that. But when this card's a 9, I promise you in person, it is as clean as it gets. It's one of those things like under microscope, maybe you can see the difference. Magnification, I have no idea. I don't know, bust out the telescope and look at this thing and you find a little ding somewhere. It seems pretty gosh darn perfect. But in reality, for most of us, if you pick up a card and I told you it's an 8, a 9, a 10, the only reason you probably know that is because somebody's given it that grade. Because I have 8s that look as good as 10s, and I have 10s that I can see little flaws, but maybe it's the way they were cut and they're allowed to have a little bit of an issue. Where I see some use for myself was something like this, where when I submit it, like I know the grade, it's an A, no surprise. In fact, they actually called and said, this thing's almost falling apart. We might feel there's better integrity to the card if we were to add a little bit of tape. They actually contacted me and said, can we add tape to the back of this? Um, trying to see, I think it was this one, like the bottom corner, they added just a little piece of something just to make sure that it holds together. Because this card is super fragile. It's fragile. But the neat card, right? 1916 to 20. So uncatalogued. So there's no real classification, but it's a strip card. It's Walter Johnson. Um, one of the better pickups I've ever made at the LCS. It's the one that actually lists his name as Johnston. So I think it's super cool. But really, what I wanted to do, because it was such a old, unique piece and falling apart, I wanted to put it into a safe case. For me, the $15 case seemed reasonable. I knew the grade. Um, it's interesting to see folks getting um, disappointed, which I get it. I mean, you think it's my Willie Mays. I mean, if I guess looked at them raw, I might say like the ungraded just holding it. I might say that looks like a 5 or a 6, and it comes back a 4, and you're just kind of disappointed because you thought you were maybe paying for it as though it was a little bit better grade. I get that, but I would say 90% of the time you say like I thought it was gonna be a 5 and I got a 5, and then every so often be like I got a 6, like you hit the lottery. It's still somebody's good day guess or bad day guess and estimate. Like they're getting years wrong. They're calling this a 9, and it's a modern card. I don't know that I mean, again, why is that a 9? feel free to point it out. My 9 to 10 differentiators. I don't care. Actually, I mean, I don't send them in. So, like, for me, I love it on the 9 side. Like, that's a 9 to me is a win because that means I don't have to spend money I wouldn't have wanted to spend. I wouldn't have bought it if it was a 10. If they were charging me more for the card, like, I just wanted the autograph. Um, but I don't see anything wrong with it. And if you're holding this ungraded in your hand, um, no issues. So, I don't know. I really, I truly don't get the grading um, drive. I understand when you're reselling, so I definitely get that. But I wanted to share, even the Willie Mays, those are recent slabs, so um, we're still getting it very, very wrong. It's not just a matter of what card is, being uh, graded in terms of like the 4 versus a 5 versus a 3.5. It's even like, do they even know what they're looking at? Um, or maybe I don't. I don't know. But it seems to me those are different items, different cards, different years. So that's my thoughts. I don't know. Let's put this to bed. If you're grading and you're shocked that you got a bad grade, uh, you know, according to online reviews, it's a 1.4 star company. So uh, if you're shocked, don't be anymore. It's known. It's an issue. Standards have changed. My conspiracy theory is people at these grading companies are sitting together. I mean, yes, PSA and SGC are owned by the same company now. Um, when we say which one sells for a premium, it's PSA, right? How do you keep selling at a premium? You're the toughest to get a high grade from. If there's not internal memos going around, I'd be shocked. Um, hey, guess what, guys? Yesterday's 6 is tomorrow's 5. We can't keep giving out grades like this. We need to be the ones that are always selling at the high end of that range. We have the best looking 9s, we have the best looking 5s. As a collector, I see this as a huge, awesome opportunity because I can now go out and find 3s that look like 4s and 5s and get them for nice 3 money. We're probably paying high 3s, and we're kind of seeing a little bit of a reduced emphasis on the grade, which means we're almost getting back to what it was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when you'd walk into a card shop and say, "Can I see your cards?" Ooh, that's a nice one. And they say, "Yeah, it's looking like it's going to sell for high book, not low book." And I'm like, yeah, well, it's fair. It's a nice one. So, I don't know. Maybe it's good for the hobby. Maybe it's a good thing that we're questioning and challenging and having less trust in these grading organizations when we're probably the real experts sending it into somebody else just to validate our opinions. So, just my thoughts. I would love to talk about this in a more drawn out, more wide ranging perspective because I have my own thoughts and I'm just talking to a camera. But I do think it's good. I do think it's important to keep it in perspective of what we're doing, though. So it is a hobby. Have some fun. If you like grading, great. If you're reselling, I get it. If you're wanting to stay on the sidelines and just have cards that aren't graded, makes sense to me too. So use those dollars for more cards. All right. See you guys in the next one. Take care.